And good evening and welcome to ChildServ again on Monday evening. My name is Mike Glass and we have tonight as our guest Kimberly Young, and Kimberly runs one of the programs for ChildServ, which is called Grand Family Support Program, and we're going to talk to her about that. But let me also remind you out there that if you have any questions regarding this program this evening or any of the programs we have aired over the last several weeks, please call in. The number is 312-738-1060. Good evening, Kimberly, and
Good evening.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Grand Family Support. What exactly does that mean, so that people know what we're talking about as far as what's grand?
Well, the grand in Grand Family actually is short for grandparents. Our grandparents are raising grandchildren, or they're raising other family members. So actually, maybe a broader term can be older caregivers raising children. I think that's something that we're transitioning towards using, so that it's not misleading that it's only grandparents, but we do have other caregivers, aunts and uncles, cousins, that also are charged with raising their grandchildren.
Now that's interesting. I wasn't aware of that. And do we have those other extended family people in our program?
We do have those people
Really?
in our program. Yes, we do.
Interesting. And how long has this program been in operation?
Well, the state of Illinois received a grant in 1996 to assist or provide assistance for grandparents raising grandchildren.
1996.
Yes.
And we've been doing that. We have been a part of that and offering our services through that for that long.
Right. We have been a part of that. ChildServ has been a part of that. I've been on board for the last 5 years.
I see. And as far as the program is concerned, does this cover, as you know, ChildServ works in Lake County and Cook County and DuPage County, as well as within the city of Chicago. Is this program throughout the area, or is it in particular geographic area as it goes?
Our funding comes particularly from the city of Chicago through the Department of Senior Services.
Okay.
So we service the Chicagoland area. There are other programs, age options, that may assist those outside of the Chicagoland area.
Are we involved in any of those?
We do make the linkages for those people who do not qualify. We're basically running through zip code catchment areas at this point, so we make those references for other outside of Chicago needs.
I see. And as far as the program is concerned, let's get into that a little bit, and what the program actually does, what we do for, I'm assuming when you say this about grandparents or extended family, but especially grandparents who find themselves all of a sudden raising children, almost having a second family again, and
Starting all
over again.
Yes.
At that age.
At that age.
And being a grandfather, I understand what that could be like. So how do we, in general, and then we'll get into maybe some specifics, how do we assist those folks?
Okay. And the biggest thing that we need to start off with is identifying those grandparents who are raising grandchildren, because particularly in our Austin areas and our Inglewood areas in Chicago, we have the highest population of older relative giving care to other family member. So we recognize them. We want to be able to identify them. So that means we have to get out in the community and offer our services so that people know that we're out there. So that's the key thing. Once we identify those people who are, or that population, then we need to do an assessment, which is definitely what we would do first, is assess the needs of the family. We would go to the homes and speak with the grandparent or the older caregiver, and we would kind of go through a checklist of things that give us background information about their family and what their needs may be. We create a service plan, and from the service plan we would work to provide those services.
I see. And you mentioned Austin and Englewood. Are those the primary areas that we're in? I'm assuming that we're within the city,
right?
And we won't put anybody out, so to speak, if they
Right.
come for our service. But are those the two areas that we are in primarily we are involved in?
Yes, those are our assignment areas,
Assignment.
based on
I get it.
based on the grant that we have from the city. Those are our assignment areas. We are allowed through funding from other sources. We are allowed to work with people that are across the city, and then it also allows us to work with under 55 population as well, under the age of 55.
I see. And again, as we're talking here with Kim, and we're talking about the Grand Family Support Program, if you have any questions about this, and as Kim was saying, we're in Austin and Englewood primarily. Those are our areas. Please, the number is 312-738-1060. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have regarding the program. Now, as far as talking about the program is concerned, what are the primary or priority areas that you have come into touch with regards to the grandparents and helping them? What do you see as the main needs?
Well, as you can imagine, as a grandparent,
Oh, yeah.
if all of a sudden just one day you woke up and everything was fine until you got back from work or you got back from a long day at ChildServ, and you got a call saying that for some reason or another you have to assume full responsibilities for raising your grandchildren.
Right.
You can imagine that would be some adjustment. There would need to be some adjustments made. So for our grandparents, for our populations, typically the adjustments are housing issues. Sometimes our grandparents have been in a situation where it was just them, or maybe them and their spouse, and they were living maybe in a senior facility. They're definitely, on a fixed income, and so they may be used to living one way, and then when you have to increase your family
Sure.
by 1 to 2 to 3 to 7
Right.
people,
Sure.
then sometimes there's an adjustment in housing, and so we work really hard to link them with the appropriate affordable housing once they can no longer remain in their own housing. Another key thing is the socialization of the grandparents, because even though in those two areas that I mentioned they have the highest populations in the entire state, there are some grandparents who still feel as if they're alone, like they feel like no other grandparent has to have the responsibilities that they have. So we try to have social and emotional support for them, either through our counseling program, which we do through our ARMOR program at ChildServ, or our support groups that we have monthly throughout the city.
So let me ask you this. It starts out with grandparents, and that's what you mentioned when we started the conversation, that it could be now a much broader with aunts and uncles and people of that within the family. Do you, by any chance, as you're working with perhaps the grandparent and see that the grandparent perhaps is in assisted living or something like that and might not be able to take over, so to speak, do we in our program try to identify other individuals in the family, aunts or uncles, that can come in and assist in this, or do we strictly have to go with the grandparent?
Okay, I want to understand your question.
Yeah.
If
within a family, if there is a need for somebody to take charge of children, and the grandparent, which in our program is a likely source, okay, but the grandparent is living in assisted living and just about being able to take care of himself or herself. And so if there's going to be a problem there with regards to them being able to do this, do we work with them to identify other people within the family on that broader level that you were talking about, like an aunt or an uncle, to assist?
So, right, someone that would be in a better position to assist.
Right.
Well, typically what we would do, if the grandparent is already parenting the child. We would try to provide wraparound services so that we can make that transition for the grandparent, because ultimately the grandparent is our client.
Okay.
So, but at the point, if they are just saying that this is not something that they would be able to do, then yes, we would definitely assess whatever needs the grandparent would have, and then we would, make referrals and recommendations accordingly.
And what I guess what I'm asking then is, within those referrals, do we make an effort to, maybe with the help of the grandparent, to identify another family member to come in and possibly be able to step up and do what the grandparent might not be able to, or at least be assist the grandparent?
Sure. To be an extra support to the parent.
Right.
If there are those family members that are able, they're definitely welcome to sit in on any type of assessments or service planning and be included in those service plans, even if they're not going to be custodial and they're just going to be a main support source for the grandparent.
I see. Okay. And again, our number is 312-738-1060. If you are in a position where you might need this kind of assistance, or you have a question regarding what we are involved with here with regards to our Grand Family Support Program, please give us a call. 312-738-1060. And as far as the programs are concerned, now, give me some specifics. We've been talking in general about support, but give me some programs, some of the things specifically that we assist with as far as the programs are concerned.
Okay. Again, one of the main things is housing assistance for the grandparents who either are who live in housing that they can no longer maintain for whatever reason, or if they need to expand. We definitely work with some community housing associations so that we can identify affordable rental solutions for the grandparents. We also provide limited financial resources for those grandparents if it's a matter of needing help with the security deposit, or say they had other situations that took maybe some of their finances or decreased their finances for the month, and they needed assistance with getting help with the rent for that particular month. We would be able to provide assistance with that as well.
I see. And I also see we have a caller. Good evening. Can I help you?
Yes, good evening. Yes, as a matter of fact, I think she's touching on that now. The grandchild I have has already been adopted. So my basic question was, if the child has already been adopted, do you still assist that grandparent in finding a place to stay?
We have had situations where the grandparent is now the actual parent through adoption, and we have provided assistance for those families.
There you go. I hope that answers the question. If not, please call back. We do try to assist once the grandparent has adopted the child to find suitable housing for both, or for as many as are involved in the program, or
whatever other needs they may have. It's not always housing needs. It's not always financial needs. Okay. Sometimes, their behaviors for the children, you haven't been parenting in quite some time, and so you have to make those adjustments behaviorally. And there's sometimes their therapeutic needs that we also address. And even in terms of the grandparents' own physical health, we have a brand new component for Healthy Fit. So where we invite Healthy Fit coordinators to our support groups to try to teach our grandparents how to take care of themselves better physically, with what they eat, with how they exercise for themselves as well as their grandchildren.
Well, it's interesting you should mention that, because last Monday we had Kelly Corona on, and she was talking all about this and the Healthy Fit program. So technically what we're saying here is that we have a wraparound program
yes.
where we do a number of different things on behalf of this new family that's come about. And you were mentioning that it's not only money, it's not only housing, but it could be other things. I'm assuming we have another call, so we'll take this caller. And yes, can we help you? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, hi. How are you?
I'm fine.
What can we do for you?
Well, I was wondering, is it possible you can find proper tutoring for a 5-year-old that's blind?
A
5-year-old who is blind.
Who is blind.
Yes, totally blind.
Yes, we definitely have some tutoring available. We in the community, some tutoring agencies that we have been working with for quite some time, actually. And I believe she's asking if we have them for somebody that's blind.
Right. If we could find some assistance for tutoring for a 5-year-old who is blind,
yes,
is what she's talking about.
Yes, that's definitely something that that would be a community resource or a community linkage that the coordinator would work out during the service plan with the grandparent, so that we can try to provide some assistance in that area.
And thank you very much. I would suggest for the caller just now, as well as other people listening, that for more information with regards to this program and about ChildServ, please go to our website, which is behind me and I'm blocking almost, but it's www.childserv.org, and you will be able to identify this program and make the correct call and get the correct contact that you might need, and we'd be more than happy to assist in doing this. And I was going to speak about, before the caller, I said that, where you were talking about not just financial or housing, I'm assuming that there are also some things that we are able to do with connecting with regards to education in the community, schools that now the grandparent or the aunt or uncle, whomever it is, would be able to contact the particular public school in the area where the kids go and try to make that a smoother transition?
Definitely. That's a key component in our services, is our advocacy for the grandparents. It used to be very difficult for grandparents or for older caregivers who are raising children to admit children in school or to enroll the children in school at the beginning of the year, because sometimes there is no custody. It just is a family arrangement that the grandparent is going to care for the child. So without that paperwork, without that custody paperwork, it was difficult for them. So the coordinators definitely advocate on the behalf of the grandparent with the school, with the school providing the correct services for the children that are in the care of the grandparent. Sometimes that's an issue as well, getting special needs met within the school. So the coordinator would definitely work with the grandparent to advocate for them with the school.
Do we, when we come up against this kind of a situation where the Grand Family Support Program would apply, do we try to keep the family unit now in the community where the children have been? So, because I'm assuming that if there's a takeover, if you will, by the grandparents to be in charge of the kids, that there must have been something possibly traumatic that happened within the family. Do we try to keep the family itself physically in the community where these kids have been growing up and know, or do we move them, or what's the plan, with regards to family? Well,
each family situation is definitely going to be different. We have to go with the needs of the family at the time. If we want to keep the grandparent as well as the children that they're raising as close to their support systems as possible. but we also want to take a look at their needs. If housing is a need for them and there isn't affordable, suitable housing available for them in the community that they're in, then we may have to assess the needs and look further, look to a different area. But we definitely do take into consideration where they are comfortable and where they have their support systems, because we don't want to further isolate the children or the grandparents if they do have viable support sources in a particular area.
And I'm assuming that, again, it's good that we're going through specifically these areas like housing or finance or staying in the particular area. Another area would be that I'm assuming that we try very hard within the case management that we do for the family to make sure that health issues are taken care of, and that do we suggest, or do we, how, as far as the children getting before a doctor, having any kind of support with regards to pediatricians or whatever, do we make that available also? Do we check the health of the child?
Correct. Our case management is all encompassing. We do have an assessment piece where we actually get the information, the medical information for the grandparent as well as the grandchildren. If there are chronic illnesses such as asthma or things like that, then we definitely try to provide the grandparent with information on, or if they do not currently have a pediatrician, we would link them up with those types of services as well. We definitely want them to be informed about any type of health related issues, any types of trends, that are going on with the children that they're raising in particular areas. I know, some of the areas that we mentioned before, the Austin area, Inglewood area, they have such high instances of asthma related things. So we really try to educate grandparents on those things. We also, with the nutrition, going back to the nutrition piece with our children, they are experiencing obesity and related issues to that. So we are moving towards educating our grandparents about the way we feed our children and the way we interact with them, so that they have more activity and less kind of sitting around on the with the games, with the games.
Right. Let me switch just for a minute, because somebody might be thinking about this out there. As far as the program is concerned, and I asked Kelly this last week, what's our time frame on this? I'm assuming that we do not come into somebody's life and do this case management and coordinate this and then all of a sudden disappear. So how long do we continue to assist these families, and do we continue even after that with regards to contact? So, excuse me, we have a caller.
Okay.
Yes, can we help you?
Hi. I just turned, so I got in the middle of your program.
Okay.
I just want to know, with the housing, do you help find houses or apartments?
We help find the best situation for the family. If the grandparent is interested in home ownership, then through assessment and service planning, the coordinator would assist her however she needed to be assisted with making that a realization. Mostly what we tend to deal with, though, is apartments. Our apartments, we try to find the most suitable, most affordable situation for the grandparent. We don't want to set grandparents or these families up for any type of failure.
Sure.
So we definitely want to get them somewhere and link them with somewhere where they can afford and somewhere where they're going to be comfortable, and so that they can make this transition easier.
I hope that answered your question. And just as wrap up, I was asking you, how long do we stay with the family so that we can continue to support, or do we come in for a certain amount of time and then move on? How do we work that?
Ideally, if we come in for crisis situations or for immediate need situations, we want to get that wrapped up within, maybe a 90-day to 6-month time period. We're reassessing every 3 months to see what the needs are, and we're hopefully addressing those needs within a timely fashion. But there are some of our grandparents who have been in our programs for years because of the socialization piece. They enjoy coming to the support groups. They enjoy the activities that we provide. Around the holiday time or around back to school time, there tends to be a need for supportive services, and we're always there for them for those, so they appreciate the services that we're providing, and they continue to stay in our program. We don't have a time frame, or we kick you out in a certain amount of time. Yeah.
Well, we've been talking about the Grand Family Support Program. Thank you very much, and hope that you will come and be with us again next Monday. And if you have any questions, please again hit our website at www.childserv.org. And thank you, and have a good evening, and thank you for coming, Kim.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.